Bien, estimados participantes, muy buenas tardes y bienvenidos al curso gratuito de Inglés Avanzado C1. El día de hoy vamos a desarrollar nuestra cuarta sesión y bien les damos la cordial bienvenida y también les felicito por su puntualidad. Muchísimas gracias por ingresar. Bien, comentarles que la institución se encuentra en Perú, en el departamento de Apurímac, en la provincia de Andahuaylas. Sí, bien, la institución ya tiene 7 años de experiencia orientada a ofrecer educación virtual gratuita a nivel nacional e internacional. Bien, así también quiero presentarles al equipo, el tecnológico, el cual está conformado por la plana de docentes, está el personal administrativo y entre ellos pues también nos encontramos los coordinadores o asistentes de todos los cursos que se viene ofreciendo. Bien, si desean conocer más acerca de la institución y quieren seguir participando en los cursos, les invito a que nos sigan a través de las redes sociales. Nos pueden encontrar en Facebook, en YouTube, en TikTok y también por Instagram. Recuerden que a través de estos medios nosotros estamos publicando todos los cursos que se vienen aperturando mes a mes. Para este mes también se están habilitando cursos en convenio con la Municipalidad Distrital de Turpo. Entre ellas tenemos el curso de ofimática profesional en el nivel básico, intermedio y avanzado. Recuerde que en ofimática profesional integra los 3 programas de Office como Word, Excel y PowerPoint. Entonces, participen ya que es totalmente gratuito. También se están habilitando los cursos en idiomas como inglés y quechua en el nivel básico A1 y A2. Si desean mayor información con respecto a estos cursos, nos pueden escribir al siguiente número, al 979-48-37-28. También invitarles a los cursos que se están aperturando el 17, 18 y 21 de febrero. Entre ellas tenemos el curso de inglés intermedio B2, inglés nivel básico A2, quechua nivel básico A2 y también tenemos cursos como marketing digital, computación básica con Windows, Excel nivel básico. Tenemos Excel nivel intermedio, gestión educativa, psicología educativa. Así que si desean participar en estos cursos, de igual forma nos escriben al siguiente número de WhatsApp, al 979-48-37-28 o también lo pueden encontrar a través de nuestras redes sociales. Quien les habla es vuestra asistente académica del curso. Si tienen alguna duda o consulta, por favor me escriben al siguiente número de WhatsApp, al 991-37-32-27. Bien, el docente que nos estuvo acompañando durante las sesiones ya desarrolladas y que también está a cargo del curso de inglés avanzado C1 es el contador Ángel Dionisio. Y bien, él ya nos ha estado compartiendo todo su conocimiento acerca del inglés avanzado C1. En cuanto a la frecuencia con la que se desarrolla el curso, son los días lunes y miércoles en el horario de 6 a 7:30 de la noche con una duración de 2 semanas. El día de hoy ya estamos iniciando, mejor dicho, finalizando con nuestro curso. Y bien, ya hemos desarrollado en cuanto a nuestro temario la sesión número 1, la sesión número 2, la sesión número 3 y el día de hoy vamos a finalizar con la sesión número 4. Bien, indicarles también que la clase es en vivo a través de la plataforma Meet, clases que también están siendo grabadas y que posteriormente se les va a enviar a través de nuestro grupo de WhatsApp del curso. Y también indicarles que toda información con respecto a nuestro curso siempre se les va a estar enviando por nuestro grupo. Así que atentos, por favor, al grupo del curso. Bien, indicarles también que el día de aquellos que desean certificarse. Y bien, en cuanto al certificado, va a salir con mención en inglés avanzado C1. Les voy a brindar mayor detalle al finalizar esta sesión y también los pasos a seguir para poder tramitar nuestro certificado. Bien, en cuanto a los convenios, la institución cuenta con diversos convenios, entre ellas tenemos con la Municipalidad de Andahuayla, la UGEL Chincheros, la Municipalidad Distrital de Centro Poblado Los Ángeles de Huancaray, el Instituto de Educación Superior Tecnológico Público Santa María Magdalena de Lima, Municipalidad Distrital de San Jerónimo, Instituto de Educación Superior Tecnológico Público de Chincheros, también con la Municipalidad de Centro Poblado Chumbau y también con el Instituto Nacional Penitenciario. Y como lo mencioné hace unos instantes, para este mes están habilitando cursos en convenio con la Municipalidad Distrital de Tupo. Así que si desean participar en esos cursos, por favor me escriben al WhatsApp. Indicarles también una vez más que la institución no realiza llamadas, nosotros no enviamos mensajes personales, por favor tengan mucho cuidado y no se dejen engañar. Recuerden que el curso es totalmente gratuito, usted no paga mensualidad, no paga por la permanencia en el grupo, así que por favor tengan mucho cuidado. De igual forma en la pantalla pueden observar los números mediante la cual nosotros estamos atentos a sus dudas o consultas. Y como siempre indico, cualquier duda o consulta, por favor, me escriben al WhatsApp. Bien, para dar inicio con la sesión de hoy, hemos preparado un pequeño pasaje bíblico. Y bien, voy a dar lectura y es la siguiente. Mira que te mando que te esfuerces y seas valiente. No temas ni desmayes, porque Jehová tu Dios estará contigo en donde quiera que vayas. Josué 1:9. Amén. Bien, estimados participantes, ahora sí vamos a dar inicio con la sesión de hoy. Bien, una vez más, felicitarles por su puntualidad. Muchísimas gracias. Bien, a ver, un momentito, por favor. Bien, contador, muy buenas tardes, bienvenido. Puede dar inicio con la sesión, por favor. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias por el pase, señorita Maribel. Muy buenas tardes. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, my dear students. Welcome to this new class. Welcome to this new session. Muy buenas tardes, estimados estudiantes. Sean todos bienvenidos a esta nueva sesión donde vamos a estar trabajando nuestra cuarta y última clase, Passive Voice. Good afternoon, Rosie. Good afternoon. Lo bueno de trabajar con ustedes, y era algo que remarcaba al inicio de este proceso de aprendizaje la semana pasada, era que todos ustedes cuentan con un nivel avanzado y esto de cierta manera me permitía a mí explayarme en cuanto a ejemplos, en cuanto a situaciones, en cuanto a gramática, que quizás no lo podría hacer con algunos estudiantes de un nivel menor. Les agradezco por eso infinitamente. Por favor, tomen en consideración, el día de hoy tengo entendido que ustedes pueden tomar una evaluación para poder certificarse, que es una excelente idea, así que los invito. Okay, having said that, let's start with today's class. Today we are going to talk about with one of the kind of difficult structures in English again. Again, we are going to visit some difficult structures in English, and this is passive voice. Okay, today we are going to work with passive voice. But what is passive voice? We are going to work. Wait a minute, please, guys. Wait a minute, please. I am so sorry. Okay, thank you. I am so sorry. I had to do something. I am so sorry. Okay, so let's start with today's class. Let's start with today's session. And today we are going to work with passive voice. But first of all, we have to know what is the passive voice. And I am completely sure that most of you already know this grammar structure. The objective of today's class is to understand the use of active and passive voice. Okay, we have to know that when we start learning English at the beginning, we start with structures like present simple or past simple or present continuous or past continuous, among others. And these structures have something in common, and this is the order of the elements inside or within the structure. Every time we work with any of the previous structures that I have mentioned, we are going to find a subject, a verb, most of the time, and an object that maybe it's included inside the complement of the sentence, right? The subject, the verb, and the complement. And that is how we make structures in English when we start learning English. And please pay attention to my words. I am referring or I am talking to about, I am referring to the beginning of this journey of learning. But as we start growing up and learning about English, we are going to face these kind of complex situations or kind of complex structures. And one of these structure is the passive voice. I remember that when I took my first certification exam, the recommendations or my teacher's recommendations were avoid using present simple, avoid using past simple, avoid using present continuous or past continuous. And I remember asking myself, so how am I supposed to express my ideas? How am I supposed to say what I like doing or what I don't like doing? Because it's necessary to use present simple or past simple. But I misunderstood the idea that my teacher wanted to give me. He was referring that when we achieve a higher level in English, I mean intermediate or upper intermediate or advanced actually, we have to use passive voice instead of active voice. And I am completely sure that maybe most of you are used to express ideas in active voice because we use active voice maybe 90% of the time, 95% of the time. And I am not exaggerating when I say that active voice is how we normally talk or how we normally speak in English or even in Spanish. Yo trabajo en la universidad. Yo vivo en Huancayo. Mi padre arregló su carro. So I am using these structures most of the time, but, and this is a recommendation for you, this is a piece of advice for some of you, that when you want to take an international exam, an international certification exam, the one of the most important grammar structures that you must know is the passive voice. Every time you want to express everyone, or every time you want to give your opinion, you have to use passive voice. How so, teacher? This is an idea, and please let me give you this piece of information because I consider that is very important for some of you to know this in advance. Is for everybody known that when you take an international exam, you are going to be evaluated in the 4 skills of English: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. And precisely talking about speaking, the evaluators check how can you make these kind of structures. They don't, if you start saying, my father repaired his car. You are using active voice. My father is repairing or repaired his car. You are using active voice. And this is a recommendation. If you want to take an international exam, if you want to take your English to the other level, I recommend you to use passive voice. When you have the interview with the judge, when you are taking your speaking exam, avoid using active voice. Instead, use passive voice. And in today's lesson, we are going to take a look of what is passive voice, how is it made, is it hard to learn, is it difficult, do I have to memorize a lot of grammar structures? Let me tell you, no. It's very simple. I remember that when I was a student and I was learning passive voice, maybe at the beginning, I considered that this was one of the most difficult topics in English. But if you pay attention to the details here, you can miss it. Okay, it's very simple. If you understand the rules, if you understand the structures, it is going to be very simple. But if you are not paying attention, maybe if you are doing another stuff, maybe it can be difficult for some of you. Okay, so first of all, what do we have to do? What do we have to do is to change completely how are we used to work with English structures. Lo primero, y permítanme hacer esta primera acotación en español, primera y última quizás. Si ustedes, estimados estudiantes de avanzado, quieren tomar un examen de certificación internacional, estos jueces, estos profesores que los evalúan en el apartado de speaking, para que se hagan una idea, se sientan aleatoriamente con algún estudiante que también esté tomando esa evaluación y son evaluados por dos teachers o por dos jueces. Un juez o un teacher que hace de interlocutor, que les hace pregunta a uno, les hace pregunta al otro, y atrás en el aula van a encontrar a otro docente que está tomando apunte de todo lo que ustedes dicen. ¿Ok? Entonces, ¿cuál es la consigna? Si ustedes quieren llegar a obtener el nivel más alto posible, vamos a evitar utilizar active voice. ¿Qué es el active voice? Es son las estructuras de inglés como estamos tan acostumbrados a hacerlas. Sujeto, verbo y predicado. Sujeto, verbo y predicado. Siempre las hacemos así. I am from Huancayo. I live with my wife. I have visited many cities. Estoy utilizando active voice, sujeto, verbo y predicado, or subject, verb, and complement. Sin embargo, tengan esto en consideración. Si ustedes tienen en miras o como objetivo quieren tomar un examen internacional, en lo posible eviten utilizar active voice y en cambio utilicemos passive voice. Si ustedes utilizan passive voice dentro de esta entrevista, van a demostrar naturalmente que tienen una suficiencia con el inglés y el apartado de speaking va a salir muy elevado a comparación de que estén utilizando active voice. No digo que sea malo utilizar active voice, pero se supone que si ustedes están tomando un examen de certificación internacional, tenemos que dominar este tema de passive voice para que se nos haga mucho más sencillo si es que ustedes tienen en planes quizás tomar una de estas evaluaciones en el mediano o largo plazo. Nunca se olviden, evitemos utilizar active voice. En cambio, vamos a utilizar passive voice. So, teacher, what is the difference between passive voice and active voice? Let me show you something. When we work with active voice, we focus on the person who makes the action. Okay, when we work with active voice, we focus on the person that makes the action. But when we work with passive voice, we focus on the object of the sentence. I am focusing on the action or on the receiver of the action. Okay, so for example, here we have a structure, the object, the direct object, The tense, maybe you can use present simple, past simple, future, present perfect, past perfect, I don't know. And don't forget the past participle. Okay, the past participle by and the object pronoun. Teacher, there are two objects. Debemos de tener esto en consideración. Cuando yo trabajo con el passive voice, originalmente voy a tener una oración que esté en active voice, como un sujeto, un verbo y un objeto de la oración. Cuando yo lo trabajo como passive voice, por lo general se invierten los roles. El objeto se convierte ahora en sujeto y el sujeto se convierte ahora en object. Lo vamos a estar trabajando poco a poco, ¿sí? Para eso requiero que todos estén atentos. Por favor, me mandan un yes al chat. Passive voice considero es el final boss, es el jefe final del inglés. Y si ustedes dominan esta gramática, estamos del otro lado, ¿sí? Estamos del otro lado. Yeah, perfect. The meal is being cooked by me. The car is fixed by me. Very good. Very good. Excellent. So let's start with this. Let's continue with this. Please pay attention. Let's start for the simple, the simpler things. Vamos a empezar por las cosas más sencillas. Y es que si yo trabajo con present simple, el verbo que yo trabaje, voy a necesitar siempre de un verb to be. Nunca se olviden, cada vez que yo trabajo con passive voice, siempre voy a necesitar del verb be. Every time I work with passive voice, I am going to need the verb be. If I am working in present tense, am, is, are. If I am working with past simple, was, were. If I am using future, will be. If I am using present perfect, have been. If I am using past perfect, had been. Okay? It's very simple to understand that. So, this is my active voice sentence. Okay, this is my active voice sentence. I can identify the subject, Jorge, the verb, open, and the door, the object of the sentence. So, when I want to change this into active voice, into passive voice, I have to know this. Why am I using passive voice, teacher? Why do we have to use passive voice? Don't forget this. When you want to focus on the object of the sentence, use passive voice. If you want to focus on the action of the sentence, use passive voice. And please pay attention. I know that previously I said if you want to focus on the object, but also you are going to use passive voice when you don't know who made the action. What? Teacher, but you just said that we are going to use passive voice when we want to focus on the receiver, on the object of the sentence. And now you are saying that we also use passive voice when we don't know who made the action? Yes, that is exactly what I am saying. So I am going to give you some examples to understand this better. Please pay attention to the first sentence. Jorge opened the door. Oh, Jorge opened the door. And here we have Jorge as a subject, open as the verb, and the door as the object. The only thing that we have to do when we want to change this structure into passive voice is to switch places. The object of the sentence now is like the subject. Then we need the verb be of that time tense. If I am using present simple, the verb be of present simple. If I am using past simple, I need the verb be of that past simple tense. If I am using future, etc., etc. You know what I mean. And then, most of the time, if we want to mention the person who made the action, we can write the word by. By me, by my father, but by my teacher, by el tecnológico, by I don't know. Okay, I know that at the beginning I said that we use the passive voice to focus on the receiver of the action and the action itself, and we don't mention the subject. Okay, because sometimes it's not necessary. For example, please pay attention. I got robbed by a robber. I got robbed by a robber. It's obvious. It's obvious that the robber robbed me. So it's not necessary to mention it. And this sentence is passive voice. I got robbed. I got robbed. Okay? I don't mention by a robber because it's a unnecessary piece of information. I know that robbers rob people. So I got robbed by a robber. Oh, sorry, I got robbed by a robber. It's not correct. Even though I am using passive voice, it's not necessary to mention the subject. I got robbed. I am focusing on the receiver of the action, me, or I mean I got, and the action, robbed. Okay, so when you work with passive voice, sometimes you are not going to mention who made the action because the information is irrelevant or it's not necessary. Okay, that's it. Please pay attention to this. He opened the door. The door is opened by him. These sentences are in present simple. These sentences are in present simple. Now, I am going to ask you for your help. I am going to need your help to change some structures from, we are going to work with present simple. Okay, present simple, active voice, and you are going to help me to change them into passive voice. Are you ready, guys? Are you ready, girls? Are you ready in the chat? Okay, so let's start with this. I am going to need your help. Let's start with the first sentence. Okay, this is active voice. Number one, she writes a book. I am going to need a volunteer. How can I change into passive voice? Don't forget, all of these exercises are present simple. Don't forget that the verb being present simple, am, is, are. That's it. Let's start with Leonardo. Can you help me, please?
A ver, sería the book is read.
Right.
Past participle.
Read.
Past participle. Past participle.
Ah, right.
Writing.
Ah,
Right.
writing by her. By her.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Don't forget this. Every time we use the passive voice, we are going to need, very good, the verb in past participle. When we work with regular verbs, we are not going to have any problems because we know regular verbs very easy to work in past simple, in past participle, because all of them end in ed. Worked, lived, studied. Maybe the problem comes when we have to work with a regular verb, written. Watch out, please, your microphone, guys. Watch out, please.
Profesor, que no puedo enviar.
Okay, don't worry, don't worry. Okay, let's continue with number two. Let me show you here the second exercise. The same, we continue working with present simple. Very easy. Rebecca, can you read the original sentence, please? Number two.
They clean the house every day.
Okay. What do you think is the passive voice version of this sentence, Miss?
Mm, the house is cleaning.
Oh my God. The house
Is
is
clean.
cleaned. Cleaned. Very good. Is cleaned
Clean by them every day.
by them every day. Okay. Very good. So you can mention in that way as a recommendation by them. In general, don't forget that the subject that now is the object of the sentence comes at the ending of the sentence. The house is cleaned every day by them. Teacher, can I say the house is cleaned by them every day? Yes, also is correct. But don't forget, it's just a recommendation. Don't forget to write the object at the end of the sentence. At the end of the sentence, okay? Let's continue with another uh, example. With another example, okay? Number 3. Can you help me? Are there a volunteer? Can you help me, Paola? Thank you, Miss.
Okay, number 3, the teacher explains the lesson.
Okay.
Okay, in passive voice, the lesson is explained by the teacher.
Okay, very good. Very good. The lesson is explained by the teacher. By the teacher. Now, imagine that you are in a classroom. Imagine that you are going to the university, and maybe you arrive late to your class, and you enter to the classroom, and you sit next to your friend and say, "Hey man, what are they doing? What are we doing?" And you say, or your friends say, "The lesson is explained by the teacher." Okay, that's it. The lesson is explained. Or maybe it's better to use present continuous because it's an action that is happening at that moment. The lesson is being explained by the teacher. It sounds better for me. But we are working with present simple. We are going to work with past simple, present continuous, past continuous to identify them correctly. Let's continue with another example. Number 4, I am going to need your help. Number 4, volunteer to read number 4, please. Could you help
Teacher,
me?
can
Okay,
I participate?
okay,
Yeah.
Carol, let's do it.
She waters the plants in the morning.
She waters the plants in the morning. Very good. How can
So
we change this in passive voice?
in passive voice, yes, is um the plants
Mhm.
the plants are watered in the morning by her.
Very good.
Mhm.
The plants are watered in the morning by her. Teacher, can I say the plants are watered by her in the morning? Yes. Yes, you can also mention in that way. There is no problem. But it's a recommendation. Don't forget that you have to write the object or the sentence at the end of the sentence. Okay? Very easy. Yo recuerdo cuando estaba aprendiendo Passive Voice, se me hacía un mundo. No lo podía comprender. No sé si porque pequé de distraído o pequé de soberbio o mi profesor no me lo supo explicar correctamente. Pero ahora que lo veo en retroceso ya como un profesor de inglés, y esto es algo que tenemos a veces algunos profesores, es que somos un poco injustos. ¿A qué me refiero con esto? Algunos profesores llevamos enseñando el mismo tema muchos años y pretendemos que nuestros estudiantes lo aprendan en una sola clase. A veces en aras de intentar que ellos aprendan, lo único que logramos es que se bloqueen. ¿Alguna vez han tenido un bloqueo, chicos? A ver en el chat, yes or no, con algún tema, no solamente en inglés, en general, que suele ocurrir. Yo siempre les doy esta recomendación a mis estudiantes. Si sientes que el tema está muy pesado, si sientes que el tema está muy difícil, punto número uno, y esto es algo que ustedes tienen a favor, es el que tienen grabaciones. ¿Ok? No es como una clase en vivo y en directo que si no tomo apuntes ya fue, ya perdí toda la información. Ustedes tienen esta información a disposición. Una vez calmados, traten de buscar a su ritmo, cómo funcionan estas estructuras. Genuinamente yo creo que mi profesor empezó explicando, luego se mezcló el present simple con el present continuous, con el past continuous, con el present perfect, and there are a lot of time expressions that maybe confused us. Right? And I don't want it for my students. No quiero que mis estudiantes pasen quizás por estos malos momentos donde digan, no entendí. Estaba difícil, no entendí. So we are going to start from the most simple things, and then we are going to move to the harder topics. Okay? Very good. Something that we have to identify, something that we have to know, guys, girls, is that when we work with active voice and then we have to switch them into passive voice, is a very simple there are very simple steps to do this. For example, here we have the subject, she, the main verb, writes, a book, the object. What we have to do when we change this into passive voice is just to switch subject for object, object for subject. It continue being an object, but you know what I mean. It now is in the place of the subject. So here, a book, I can say a book is written by her, but I think that as your classmate mentioned it, the book, it sounds better. It sounds better, even though I can use a book, a book. A book is written by her. There is no problem. But I think it sounds better to say the book. The book. Because we are working with present simple, we are going to use only two possible versions of the verb be. And this is and are. Because am can be in this way. My dad teaches English. No. Guys, can you give me an example? Can you give me an example of am?
No se puede
In a
escribir,
passive voice.
profesor.
It's not possible, right? It's not possible because all the time we are going to use is, or we are going to use are if it is in plural. I think that there is an exception as usual in English, but let me tell you this. Okay, when we were passive voice in present simple, we are going to use only is, are. Okay,
Teacher, sorry.
tell me, miss.
Is there a reason, after a reason, why? Because the students ask me, Miss, why we don't use, in this case, yes, for examples. Why only are and is? Why not am?
That is an excellent question, Carl, and I think that this is the answer, because when we use an active voice sentence, we are using a subject, a verb, and an object. And all the time that we mention that somebody is doing an action, I am going to start with a subject, right? I, you, he, she, blah, 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 blah. But when I talk about the receiver of the action, in this case, me, him, her, me is being taught. No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So we can say that when we talk about passive voice, inside this structure, we have subject, verb, and object. And it's impossible to use am as an object because we are talking about one person or one thing or an animal or I don't know, that never is going to be talked or spoken in first person. All the time we are talking in third person, if we notice. Third person in singular and third person in plural. The house, it's plural. First person. The plants, plural. Oh, sorry, this is singular and this is plural. So I consider that that is why we are not going to use am never when we use the present simple form of the passive voice. And that makes it easier, or that makes it easier for us to understand or to identify, right? Because when we work with present simple, sometimes students got confused, right? They say, for example, my father are. No, it's not my father are. Okay, my father am. No, it's not my father am. It's my father is. Okay. So when we use only two of these verbs, I think it is going to be easier for us to understand, and it is going to be easier for us to explain to our students that, guys, please pay attention. When we work with passive voice, please forget about am. You are not going to see am inside a structure of passive voice. The only verb B's that we are going to work with is and are, and that's it. Okay? Very good. Guys, working with present simple, it's kind of easy, right? Working with present simple is kind of easy. Sorry, I beg your pardon. 1 minute, please. I beg your pardon.
Bien, estimados participantes, en lo que retorna el docente, indicarles que el día de hoy se les va a dar las indicaciones en cuanto al trámite del certificado y también con respecto al examen, así que les invito a que se queden después de culminar la sesión para darles las indicaciones correspondientes. Muchísimas gracias y agradecerles también por su puntualidad en la sesión de hoy.
Thank you, Miss Maribel. I just have to do something important. Thank you for your patience. Okay, now let's continue in past. We are going to work with examples in past. Okay, it's the same. Let me change this something. Okay, guys, help me. She writes a book is a present simple sentence. What is the past simple version of this sentence?
She wrote a book.
She wrote a book. Excellent. Okay, teacher, this is past simple. How can I change this into passive voice? It's the same. The only thing that is going to change is the verb be. Please pay attention. Can you help me? Wait a minute. Okay. Volunteer, can you help me? What is the version of the passive voice of this sentence? Paola?
She was reading a book. No, a book, sorry, a book was written by her.
Yeah.
Excellent. That is correct. Teacher, isn't it the same as we did previously? No. Here we are using the book is written by her. And when as you know, if we refer to a present simple or to a present structure, we are talking things that are
En
common.
vez de is, ahora sería was.
Excellent. And that's why we are using was. So one more time, let me tell you that English is a language of context. So you have to pay attention to that context. Sometimes a verb can make the difference. Please pay attention here. She writes a book, she wrote a book. Maybe for some students that don't have a training like you can think that is the same. But no, it's not the same. You have to respect if it is in present simple, present simple. If it is in past simple, past simple. The only thing that is changing is the verb be. Now, let me change this, guys. She wrote some books. She wrote some books. What do you think is the passive voice version of this sentence? Volunteer. Mystery.
Sería some book was written by her. En vez de a, sería
Some books
was written by her.
were.
Solo se le cambiaría el some normal.
Okay, but you have
pero,
to think.
pero me olvidé algo también. Está en singular, entonces sería también were.
Excellent.
Ay,
Very good. That is the correct answer.
Disculpe,
Excellent.
profesor.
Don't worry. We are here to learn.
Estoy recién aprendiendo.
Excellent. Oh my gosh, you are recently learning and you are in an advanced course. That is, wow, that is amazing. Okay, did you notice the things that we have to change? When I am working with an object that previously was a subject and it is in singular, I have to use the verb be in singular. But if I change it and it is not singular anymore and I am using plural instead, I have to change the verb be. You have to pay attention to all the details of the sentence. If it is in present simple, if it is working with singular, or if it is working with plural, if it is working in past, if it is working in future, maybe it's kind of exhausting thinking on all the details that you have to know. But I am completely sure that if you pay attention, if you read the sentence carefully, you are not going to commit mistakes. You are not going to commit mistakes. Let me do something. We are going to use the same ideas or the same structures, and the only thing that we have to change is the time tense. Okay? I am going to need your help to do that. Let's start. She is writing a book. Okay? This is the active voice. She is writing a book. This is present continuous or present progressive. What do you think is the passive voice version of this sentence? Carol, can you help me?
So in active voices, she's writing a book. A book. A book. A book was
Present.
It's not great. No, sorry. A book was was
Present.
yes. She's writing a book. A book
Is.
is written. No, a book is written by her. No.
Para que
Con-
nunca se olviden de esto, es lo equivalente a lo que nosotros decimos en español. Un libro está siendo escrito por ella. ¿Cómo digo siendo?
It's being written. It's being written by her. Written by her. I'm sorry, teacher.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. Very good. You know something? I also teach teenagers and I also teach children. And many people can say teaching young learners must be easy. And no, it's totally the opposite. Because when we start, or when you and I think that I have some teachers here, you are not going to let me lie about this. When we start a course with children or with young learners, we need more patience. We need to repeat things. We need to be very careful. We need to be an excellent teacher. And don't get me wrong. What I am talking about, or what I refer to, is that working with students, for example, you that have a higher level of English, for me is easier because you already know what to do. You already know structures. You already know sentences. You already know tenses. So for me, working with you is easier. it's more complicated working with little students or children or teenagers, because you have to teach them from zero, and teaching you is a piece of cake, I consider. Very good.
With a child has to be not just patient, it's just like a other way to teach, because they really needed color, shapes.
Yes,
And
we
a
need
lot of
another
shapes.
approaching, right? When we teach children, we need another approaching. We have to play, we have to sing, we have to play some videos. But I think that is difficult. That is difficult.
Yes, completely.
Working with adults like you, it's easier for me because, as I mentioned it before, you already understand how English work. That is excellent, and that is easy. Okay, now let me change another one. Let me give you another one. She was writing a book. Past continuous. She was writing a book. What do you think is the passive voice version of this sentence? Carol, can you help me? Oh my gosh. Guys, could you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, teacher.
Graciela, maybe Miss is an internet connection problem. Maybe because all your classmates can see it clearly. Maybe it's your internet connection, Miss. Okay, a volunteer, please, for 1.3. Carlos, she was writing a book. How can I change this?
A book
A book was being written by her. Very good. A book was being written by her. Teacher, now that I pay attention to the details of passive voice, it's very easy. It's very easy. It's very simple, right? Guys, what do you think about passive voice? Easy or hard? Easy, right? Present continuous, present simple, past simple, present continuous, past continuous, present perfect, okay? Or future with will, future with will. She will write a book. Future with will. Volunteer. Veronica, could you help me?
Okay, a book will be written by her.
Excellent. Excellent. Don't forget the pronunciation, okay? Don't forget the pronunciation. I know that in base form is right. The present simple form is right. The past simple form is wrote. And the past participle, maybe I can get confused and pronounce it like written. But no, that is not a correct pronunciation. Don't forget it's written or written. If you want to say, pronounce the T's, written or written. But no, don't pronounce it written. No, that is not correct. Written. And it is the same with the verb manejar, conducir. How do you say manejar?
Drive.
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 Past
Drive.
simple of drive.
Drove.
And past participle?
No? Driven.
Driven. Very good. Is the same idea. I am not saying driven. No. Only driven. Ridden. Okay, don't forget that. Excellent. Future with be going to. Future with be going to. She is going to write a book. Future with be going to. Volunteers. She is going to write a book.
I'm gonna try, but I need to write it.
Okay, Moni, let's do it, miss.
Okay, a book will be going, writing by her.
¿Cómo digo? Yo voy a hacer.
Going to be.
I'm going to be
A book is going to be
by her. Writing by her.
written
Written
by her.
Written by her.
A book is going to be written by her. That's it. Now imagine that it's books. She's going to write books. Some books. She's going to write some books. Leonardo, what do you think now is the version of this sentence? She is going to write some books.
She will. Era con will, pero
This one is the same. It's the same idea, but I am changing singular with plural. I am not using singular anymore.
Will.
Here.
The book.
She is going to write some book. Vamos por partes, sí. Leonardo. Hace un momento dijimos, she is going to write a book.
¿Cómo es,
¿verdad?
Jonathan? Some books
She is will.
Vamos con calma, vamos con calma. Vamos a dejar a Leonardo, por favor, les pido a todos ustedes que apaguen sus micrófonos, ¿ok? Todos vamos a
She
aprender aquí hoy.
will write
Quiero que te olvides de will.
a book.
Quiero que te olvides de will. Quiero que te enfoques en esto. Futuro de be going to. She is going to write a book. Hace un momento su compañera me dijo, la versión passive voice de esto, teacher, sería a book is going to be written by her. Excelente. Pero digamos, Leonardo, ahora ya no quiero trabajarlo en singular. Quiero trabajarlo en plural. Es decir, ya no quiero que hable de un solo libro. Ella va a escribir algunos libros. ¿Cómo sería el cambio en esta
Some
segunda
books.
oración?
Some
Very
books.
good. Some books.
Is going to
Pero si estamos hablando en
write
plural, si estamos hablando en
by
plural,
her.
book,
Some books are going to written by her.
written. Very good. Some books are going to be written by her. Guys, can you understand it? Se va entendiendo poquito a poco. Passive voice es el final boss del inglés. Si se dan cuenta, y profesores no me dejarán mentir, si buscan en su material, passive voice es de los últimos temas. Y no es una coincidencia que venga al final. Es porque es quizás de los temas estructurales más difíciles del inglés. Miguel, do you have a question? Or do you want to participate, maybe? Okay, don't worry. We already worked with present simple, past simple, present continuous, past continuous, future with will, future with be going to. Now let's work with present perfect, okay? What is the version present perfect of she writes a book?
She has written a book.
She has written a book. She has written a book. Okay. Teacher. Oh my gosh, teacher. What is the passive voice version of a sentence in passive, in present perfect? She has written a book. Ella ha escrito un libro. Bastante sencillo. If you have some doubts about what is the correct structure, think about our language, our Spanish. ¿Ok? Si yo en español digo, ella ha escrito un libro, ¿cómo sería esto en passive voice? Un libro ha sido escrito por ella. Un libro ha sido escrito por ella. ¿Cómo llevo esto a passive voice? How can I say that in passive voice? Volunteer, please. Come on. Present perfect. Present perfect, not past perfect.
A book had been written by her.
Present perfect. Why are you using had? Why are you using had if it is present perfect?
Oh,
in present perfect,
had
we
been.
have two auxiliaries, have and has for third person. A book is it. It works with has or have.
Has.
Okay. A book has
Been. Has been.
pronunciation. This
Has
is
been.
being. This is being.
Been.
This is then. Being, then.
Been.
Being,
Has been.
then. If
Like
you want to
husband.
exaggerate it, I recommend you to pronounce it like then. Then. Because if you say being, a book has been, you are pronouncing this verb. And that is not correct. Okay, you have to pronounce a book has been. A book has been what?
Written.
Pronunciation, please. It's not written.
Written.
What is
Written.
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 written? Written by her.
Here.
A book has been
Then,
written by her. A book has been written by her. Now, let me change something. She has written some books. Same idea. She has written some books. I am using plural. What is the passive voice version right now? A book? She has written some books. She has written some books. Some books. I am not using singular anymore. So what do I have to change, guys, girls? Come on, help me. She has written some books. Carlos, can you help me, please?
Yes, some books have been written by her.
Very good. Did you notice Carlos changed the has for have? Why, teacher? Why did he change it have or has with have? Can you tell me why did you change it, Carlos? What is the reason you changed it?
The subject is plural.
Excellent. Because, teacher, now the subject is plural. And if I say some books has, it's not correct to say some books has. The correct one is some books have. Some books have been written by her. Let's continue with more examples. Present simple, past simple, present continuous, past continuous, will, future, going, be going to, future, present perfect, past perfect. What is the past perfect version of this, guys? The only thing that you have to change is one word.
She had written some books.
Excellent, Miguel. Thank you. She had written. She had written some books. Okay, teacher, if it says she had written some books, this is past perfect. What is the passive voice version of it? Help me.
A book had been written by her.
Some books had written by her. When we work with, oh, sorry, had been, I forgot it, had been. She had written some books. Some books had been written by her. When we learn past perfect, maybe we can think that it's more difficult than the present perfect, but actually no, it's totally the opposite. When we work with present perfect, we have to have in mind the subject of the sentence, because sometimes it depends on the auxiliary that I am going to use. Sometimes I am going to use have, sometimes I have to use has, and it depends on the subject. I, you, he, she, they, we, blah, 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 etc., etc. When I use it in negative statements, I have to pay attention to the pronoun as well. I haven't lived. I haven't lived. I haven't lived in Lima, for example, or she hasn't lived in Lima. I have to pay attention to the pronoun to work with the correct auxiliary. But this thing doesn't happen in past perfect, because the auxiliary had works with all the pronouns. Please pay attention, guys. This sentence 1.7 is clearly in plural, right? It is in plural. She had written some books. This is past perfect in plural. But imagine that I want to work in singular. Is there a possible with negative? Of course, of course, of course. Let me check it. We are going to check it right now. Okay, Carlos? Guys, help me. She had written a book. What is the passive voice version of it?
A book had been written by her.
Very good. A book had been written by her. Teacher, why didn't the auxiliary change it at all? Because we are using past perfect. And in past perfect, there is only one auxiliary. And I don't care if it is in singular or it is plural. It is going to be the same auxiliary for both situations. A book had been written by her. Some books had been written by her. I don't care. I don't care. It's the same. Okay? Miguel, tell me.
Teacher, I was wondering what's the actual difference between to use have or had, in the sense that the two numbers, sentences 2.6 and 2.7 basically are the same, I guess. But what are the difference between the two?
Okay. First of all, we have to know this, and I am doing this as simple as I can, Miguel, but we have to know this. 1.6 is an structure of present perfect, and an structure of present perfect is used to mention experiences in our lives, right? That is how present perfect works. And number 2 is a past perfect structure. What is the difference between present perfect and past perfect? And I didn't have the time to teach this incredible tense too. I would like to do it in the future. The past perfect, Miguel and my dear students, is going to be used when you want to mention a past action that happened previous a past action. Okay? One more time.
Yes,
We are going to use the past perfect to mention a past action that happened before another past action. Okay? And that is how it works. Every time you work with past perfect, you need another sentence in past simple. Okay? What I am saying is that sentence 1.7 is incomplete. If I am talking about only past perfect, don't forget this. The past perfect works as a parasite. What, teacher? Yes, as a parasite. Because every time you work with past perfect, you need another sentence of past simple. For example, she had written a book when I arrived home. That's how I said that I am trying to do it as simple as I can. And I am completely aware that some of you notice, but teacher, 1.6 and 1.7 are very similar. What is the difference between present perfect and past perfect with has and had? What is the difference? 1.7 is incomplete. Okay, don't forget that past perfect is a structure that you are going to use when you want to mention an action that happened before or previously another past action. Okay, and that would be excellent, or it would be great if I can teach you that in another situation. Ok, ¿se entiende, chicos, cómo funciona el past perfect? Imagino que ya lo han trabajado antes. El past perfect es un tiempo gramatical que se utiliza y siempre, no sé si lo he explicado bien, para bien o para mal a mis alumnos no se les olvida, que el past perfect funciona como un parásito. ¿Por qué? Porque va a necesitar de una acción pasada simple para funcionar. Habíamos dicho que el present perfect se utiliza para hablar de experiencias de vida, acciones que acabamos de completar o acciones que no acabamos de completar también, pero por lo general son experiencias de vida. Yo he viajado, yo he comido, yo he estudiado, yo he llorado. Y el past perfect, por su lado, se va a utilizar con este ejemplo bastante claro. Imagínense que ustedes tienen un gatito en casa y solamente viven con el gatito, entonces cuando salen a trabajar le tienen que dejar toda su comida, le tienen que dejar su comida en casa, su bowl completamente lleno de comida. Entonces, ustedes se van a regresar, se van a trabajar y cuando regresan a casa en la noche, el platito de comida ya está vacío. Entonces, quiero preguntarles lo siguiente. ¿Qué acción ocurrió primero? ¿El que ustedes llegaran a casa o que el gatito terminó su comida? ¿Qué creen ustedes bajo ese concepto? ¿Qué acción ocurrió primero, chicos?
El gatito.
El gatito terminó su comida, ¿verdad? Entonces, esa acción pasada, más pasada, nunca se olviden de eso, la acción pasada, más pasada, siempre lo he enseñado de esta forma y mis alumnos no tienen ningún inconveniente en aprenderlo. La acción pasada, más pasada, ¿cómo es eso, profesor? Siempre vas a identificar en una oración de past perfect una acción que ocurrió primero. La acción pasada, más pasada. Esa acción pasada, más pasada, va a estar en past perfect y la acción que ocurrió después va a estar en past simple. Entonces, la oración podría ir de la siguiente manera. When I arrived home, my cat had eaten all its food. One more time. When I arrived home, my cat had eaten all its food. Cuando yo llegué a casa, mi gato se había comido toda su comida. ¿Ok? ¿Cuál fue la acción que ocurrió primero? Que el gato se comió toda su comida y luego yo recién llegué a casa. Este tema de past perfect, ok, no problem. Cuando a mí me piden, teacher, van a haber 4 sesiones y en estas 4 sesiones tiene que mostrarnos 4 temas de inglés avanzado. Vienen a la mente muchos temas, es decir, para limitarlo solamente a present perfect, conditionals, que trabajamos reported speech y passive voice ahora, es muy poquito, es bastante limitado. Hay muchos más temas que también tienen esta característica de estar en un nivel superior, entonces se van eliminando algunas cositas y, ¿por qué no? En un futuro también trabajar con past perfect, que yo recuerdo que también se me hizo un dolor de muelas aprender past perfect, porque no entendía cómo que una acción pasada más pasada, cómo que, ¿cuál es la acción pasada? Y si ocurren a la vez, y si hay oraciones que están ocurriendo simultáneamente, ¿funciona el past perfect? ¿Ok? Eso ya lo vamos a dejar para ver si se crea otro curso. Paola, Miss, do you have a question, I think? No. ¿Alguien tiene alguna duda, alguna consulta hasta este punto?
No, teacher, everything is clear.
Very good, Miguel. Entonces, para hacer esto lo más simple posible. Yes, Moni.
I don't know if maybe it's more work to you, but maybe wrote into your notepad what is the tense of all of these sentences. Can you please?
Do you want to that would you like to share this piece of information with you?
Yes,
These sentences?
Y además como ponerle al ladito cuál es el tipo de verbo que se está usando ahí.
Ok. Vamos a hacer algo. Yo les comparto todo esto, pero el desafío para ustedes sea que tan solo con mirar a la oración, ustedes puedan identificar, Ah, esa oración está fácil. Esa oración es de present perfect. Ah, no, esa oración es de past simple. Ah, no, esa oración es de present perfect.
Eso es lo que me cuesta, por eso te decía que si le puedes poner al lado present simple, past present, eso es lo que me cuesta.
Ok, ok. Lo hemos trabajado de la siguiente manera. Present simple, past simple, present continuous, past continuous, will the future, be going the future, present perfect, and past perfect. Son los 8 que hemos trabajado hasta este momento. ¿Ok? Muy bien, chicos. Ahora, permítanme cerrar esta última sesión y desearles muchos éxitos en la evaluación. Esta evaluación comprende preguntas desde la semana 1, 2, 3, o perdón, clase 1, 2, 3 y 4, así que espero que la hayan revisado. Teacher, ¿se puede utilizar negativos? Claro que sí se puede. Claro que sí se puede. For example, my teacher will not present the project. Nosotros sabemos que el will not, ¿en qué se convierte, chicos? Al inglés le aburre escribir mucho, le aburre hablar mucho, así que siempre utilizan contracciones. My teacher
Won't.
Ok. ¿Cómo digo esto? En passive voice. My teacher won't present the project. Mi profesor no presentará el proyecto. En passive voice sería como el proyecto no será presentado por el profesor o por mi profesor.
Will be not,
Ya.
the project will be not presented by my teacher.
Will be not presented
Mi amor, eso es importante, conmigo, ¿qué
by,
significa con esto?
by the teacher. The project will be not, oh sorry, es will not be. No se olviden de esto. Will not be. ¿Por qué, profesor? Porque ese will not vuelve a ser won't. The project won't be presented by the teacher. The project won't be presented by the teacher. Luego podemos utilizar esta misma oración en presente. She doesn't write the book. Lo voy a hacer así, muy rápido, ¿ok? Chicos, ayúdenme. She doesn't write a book. ¿Cómo sería esto en present simple and passive voice?
Y digo, chi,
Pero es al revés. Si aquí está con she, este she va a pasar al otro lado. Si termina en the book, este book va a pasar al inicio. Ajá.
The book doesn't write then by
Pero,
chi. Digo, by her.
pero
Because
siempre vamos a utilizar el verb be. Siempre vamos a utilizar el verb be. Esto sigue siendo present simple. ¿Cómo digo?
is.
Escúchame, a ver, cálmense. ¿Cómo
Is.
digo? Él es mi papá. ¿Cómo digo eso?
He's my dad.
He is my dad.
He's
¿Cómo
my dad.
digo? Él no es mi papá en inglés.
He isn't.
He's not my dad.
Ya, es el mismo principio. The book
Isn't.
Isn't written by her.
Yeah.
written by her. ¿Ok? The book isn't written by her. El libro no está escrito por ella. ¿Ok? Y lo pueden dejar como is not or isn't, lo dejo a criterio de ustedes. Art teacher, otro, está un poco difícil eso. Nada que ver. Chicos, ayúdenme en negación. Ella no escribió algunos libros. en pasado. She, auxiliar de pasado.
Didn't.
Didn't. El verbo vuelve a su forma base. She didn't.
Write.
She didn't write.
Some books.
Some books. Perfect. Passive voice. Si she está acá, va a ir al otro lado. Si books estaba al otro lado, va a venir acá. Entonces, ¿cómo sería? Some books
Were written by her.
pero were es positivo.
Were not.
Were
Weren't.
not. Y si no están de ánimos para escribir o hablar,
Weren't.
weren't. Es lo mismo. Ya hicieron lo más difícil, luego sigue lo mismo.
Some books.
Pero el verbo principal en pasado participio. Some books weren't. Algunos libros no fueron escritos por ella. Some books weren't.
Written by her.
Written by her.
Written.
Y ahora permítanme mostrarles algo que quizás no se hayan dado cuenta hasta este momento. Y es que el inglés nuevamente demuestra que es muy predecible. Muy predecible. A ver, voy a utilizar todos los ejemplos de book, ¿ok? Quiero que presten atención a esto. Si se dan cuenta, después del verbo be, todo es igual. La parte difícil del passive voice es el verb be, porque después del verb be que viene el verbo en su forma pasada participia y el sujeto, que ahora ya es objeto, es lo mismo siempre. Written by her. 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 ¿Se dan cuenta que todo es igual? Todo es igual. No importa el tiempo. La parte más difícil del passive voice es identificar correctamente el tiempo, identificar correctamente el verb be que le corresponde a ese tiempo, porque después todo es muy sencillo. ¿Ok? Muy bien, chicos. No sé si alguien tiene alguna duda, alguna consulta. Hasta este punto hemos llegado a la parte final. Voy a cederle algunos minutitos de la sesión a la señorita Maribel para que pueda brindarles información con respecto al examen, con respecto a la certificación. ¿Alguien tiene alguna duda, alguna consulta? Excelente. Muy bien, estimados estudiantes. Ha sido un placer, en verdad, trabajar con ustedes a lo largo de estas dos fugaces semanas. Me hubiera gustado ahondar con algunos temas más tipo preparación para exámenes internacionales y tal cual. Pero bueno, eso lo dejamos a criterio del tecnológico, estar ustedes atentos a la posible apertura de estos cursos también, y yo estaría encantado de poder ser su docente en el futuro. Nos estamos viendo, conmigo será hasta una próxima clase. Gracias por su atención. Thank you for your attention, guys. Thank you, I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure for me working with you. You know, English is a very interesting language, and it's one of the most spoken and the most popular language, I think. That is all for today. Yes, Janet, that could be the FCE, the TOEFL, the C1 level, the B2, the B2, the B1 level. I don't know. There are a lot of options to learn. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Goodbye. Have an incredible evening. That is all for today. Have an incredible week. And don't forget to practice your English. That is excellent, Carlos. I would like to learn Japanese too. Goodbye, take care, thank you. Nos estamos viendo. Muchísimas gracias, chicos. Señorita Maribel, le cedo la palabra para que pueda dejar algunas, alguna información a los chicos.
Bien, muchísimas gracias, contador. Agradecerle por todas las sesiones que nos ha impartido. Y
Goodbye.
bien, muchísimas gracias. Ya nos estaremos reencontrando de seguro en los próximos cursos. Y
Thank
bien,
you.
Que Dios lo bendiga y cuídese mucho. Hasta la próxima.
Muchísimas gracias. Goodbye, take care, bye bye.
Bien, estimados participantes, el docente que nos estuvo acompañando fue el contador Ángel Dionisio, especialista en el curso de inglés avanzado C1. Bien, vamos a dar inicio con las últimas indicaciones con respecto al trámite del certificado, así como también con respecto al examen. Por favor, quédense unos minutitos más. Bien, en cuanto al certificado, va a salir con mención en inglés nivel avanzado C1, a nombre de la institución El Tecnológico, con una certificación de 50 horas. Recordarles que el certificado cuenta con un código QR, así también con un código único de registro. El costo de trámite del certificado es de 40 soles y el trámite es totalmente opcional. Bien, en un primer momento el certificado se les va a emitir de forma digital. Si ustedes desean en forma física, también se les puede entregar de forma física. Bien, el costo adicional que estarían pagando sería 5 soles y el costo de envío es de 10 soles. Comentarles también que el certificado cuenta con o integra el temario que se ha estado avanzando durante las 4 sesiones académicas. Así también cuenta con el respaldo de la Cámara de Comercio del Perú. Y bien, también indicarles que cuenta con un código QR mediante la cual ustedes pueden, a través de una interfaz, acreditar de que han llevado el curso con nosotros. Si tuvieran alguna duda o consulta con respecto al certificado, por favor me pueden confirmar si todo quedó claro. O si tienen alguna duda, lo pueden escribir a través de la bandejita de mensajes. Bien, todo correcto. Entonces, ahora vamos a pasar a las indicaciones con respecto al certificado. Bien, a ver. Digo, al examen. Bien, ahora sí, ya les mandé a través de nuestro grupo del curso. El examen va a estar habilitado hasta el día 14 de febrero hasta las 12 de la noche. Así que, estimados participantes, tienen hasta esa hora para que puedan rendir su examen. Recuerden que el examen no tiene tiempo de límite, así que pueden primero repasar y luego desarrollar el examen. Bien, así también se les está adjuntando el número de la oficina de certificado, así como un pequeño enlace con un mensaje ya predeterminado para que ustedes puedan comunicarse con la oficina de certificación, y también un número adicional por si desean realizar alguna contribución a la institución por lo aprendido. Bien, también se les está adjuntando las cuentas o los métodos de pago para que usted pueda realizar su pago y tramitar su certificado. También se les está adjuntando enlaces de Facebook para que puedan dejar, por favor, su comentario sobre su experiencia capacitándose con nosotros. Hacen clic en el enlace y les va a mostrar los cursos que se están aperturando la siguiente semana. Por favor, comenten, déjennos su reacción. Recuerden que estos pequeños detalles aportan muchísimo a la institución. Bien, ahora vamos a ingresar al examen. Solo hacemos clic en el enlace. Y bien, automáticamente nos va a cargar la siguiente pestañita. Como pueden visualizar, también se está viendo el número de la oficina de certificación, así como el enlace. Bien, los datos a consignar en el examen son los siguientes: correo electrónico, número de DNI, número de celular o de WhatsApp, y también sus apellidos y nombres. Por favor, pónganlo como está en su DNI, ya que ese dato va a ser considerado para el certificado. Bien, en total son 10 preguntas, cada una de ellas vale 2 puntos, así que, estimados participantes, una vez que usted complete el examen, complete sus datos personales, complete el examen, hace clic en el botón enviar y usted, una vez que envía va a observar la siguiente pantallita, la siguiente opción, ver puntuación. Y entonces ya haces clic en ver puntuación y ya va a poder visualizar la nota que ha obtenido en el examen. Para aquellos que aprueben el examen, se les va a habilitar el sistema de certificación a la cual van a poder acceder con su número de DNI. En la siguiente, esto se les va a habilitar a todos aquellos que aprueben el examen. Y es sobre todo para visualizar su certificado, así como también los cursos que ya han llevado en la institución. Ingresan con su DNI, ponen no soy robot, y una vez que estén dentro del sistema, pueden observar los cursos que se han capacitado con nosotros, también el periodo en el que han desarrollado el curso, así como la nota con la que aprobaron el curso, y también el estado del certificado. En un primer momento se les va a mostrar por tramitar, y ya posterior a su trámite se les va a mostrar en el estado de emitido. ¿Y cómo descargo mi certificado? Bien, usted hace clic en emitido y le va a dar la opción de poder descargar. Bien, sí, mi estimado participante, sí, estimada Mónica. Este sistema se les va a habilitar a todos aquellos que aprueben el examen y claro que sí, se les va a habilitar con los datos que ustedes nos van a facilitar. Es por ello que, como le mencioné al principio, como ingreso, pues con su DNI o carnet de extranjería. Bien, es por ello que hay que, al momento de llenar nuestro examen, hay que rellenar nuestros datos correctamente, ya que ello se va a considerar tanto para la certificación, así como para aperturar el sistema. Bien, dicho esto, estimados participantes, si tienen alguna duda o consulta, por favor escríbanlo a través de la bandejita de mensajes. Bien, en cuanto a las cuentas o métodos de pago, contamos con las siguientes cuentas con las que usted puede realizar el pago para tramitar su certificado. A través de BBVA, BCP, YAPE, Banco de la Nación, Los Andes, Caja Cusco, Cooperativa, Los Andes, y también para pagos internacionales tenemos PayPal y Western Union. A través de sus medios usted puede realizar el pago para tramitar su certificado. Mi estimada Silvia, se les recomienda, por favor, ojo con esto, se les recomienda que den solo una vez el examen, ya que si usted da más de una vez, se le va a promediar la nota y se le va a considerar el promedio. Por favor, solo traten de dar una vez el examen, se va a promediar y ya les va a bajar la nota. Entonces, dicho esto, estimados participantes, si no tuvieran alguna otra duda, por favor, si tuvieran dudas, escríbanlo a través de la bandejita de mensajes. Comentarles una vez más que el examen va a estar habilitado hasta el día viernes 14 de febrero hasta las 12 de la noche. Bien, muchísimas gracias con cada uno de ustedes. De seguro ya nos estaremos viendo en los próximos cursos que se están aperturando. Sigan participando. Recuerden que la institución brinda cursos totalmente gratuitos. Entre los cursos que se van a aperturar el 17, 18 y 21 de febrero tenemos, por ejemplo, el curso de inglés intermedio B2, tenemos el curso de inglés nivel básico A2, quechua nivel básico A2 y entre otros cursos. Recuerde que todos estos cursos son totalmente gratuitos. Bien, muchísimas gracias, Mónica, Silvia, Paola, Janet, Cami, Carlos, muchísimas gracias con cada uno de ustedes por haberse quedado hasta el final. Fue un gusto compartir este tiempo con cada uno de ustedes. Bien, yo también me despido. Muchísimas gracias una vez más y que Dios los bendiga, cuídense mucho y hasta una próxima oportunidad. Cualquier duda o consulta, por favor, me escriben al WhatsApp y yo les voy a estar respondiendo. Me escriben al siguiente número, al 991-37-32-27. Muchísimas gracias y hasta la próxima oportunidad. Cuídense mucho. Un gusto.